Hey everyone, it's your girl Rosalie, the ultimate YouTube channel about world music, psychology, and philosophy. I am here on a mission for my Tap Cancer Out fundraiser. You guys have been amazing and so generous. Usually the route to go is buymeacoffee.com/Rosalie Elliott. Read the requirements, check out what needs to be done if you want to make a suggestion and get it on my desk. But this time around, for a specific period of time, I'm doing reactions and reviews as a reward, as a thank you for your donations. I've not only reached, but exceeded my personal set goal for Tap Cancer Out for the fundraiser. But I received an email today saying that in overall, we are about 38% into raising funds. Now, I know with millions of people coming across this channel, there is enough out there for us to come together and raise the funds for Tap Cancer Out. So would you consider going to tapcancerout.org? Put the link below, wecan.tapcancerout.org/Rosalie Elliott. And would you consider coming together with people from all around the world to support this cause? Tap Cancer Out is a jiu-jitsu event where we are rolling with the purpose to raise funds. The profit goes to various beneficiaries who are in the fight against cancer. There's an amazing story behind where this idea came from. But we are about 38% into reaching, not my personal set goal, but the overall Tap Cancer Out budget. Consider helping. Click the link in the description and let's enjoy these various suggestions I've been receiving from my amazing supporters and all you amazing donors. Here we go. Big shout out to Lonnie for the support on the Tap Cancer Out. We're going to check out Avenged Sevenfold. Are you guys ready for this? Oh. Are we going to do some symphonic metal here, or what type of metal? His voice, those high notes are nuts.
Let me say it. Ignore the obscene, ignore the untrue, the pictures we see. Try and get through.
quiet. You might piss somebody off. Wow. I am impressed. I am impressed. I am impressed. There was a lot going on. And I'm not going to hit on every single thing, most likely not, that there is going on here. And also, I'm going to notice things that are specific to me, whereas maybe other people notice something else or appreciate something else about this. But I'm mind blown right now, just to start from the musical compositional standpoint, is the diversity and the intricacies of this. This was really not just your verse, chorus, from the call and response and the way that the lead vocalist played off of and in collaboration with the background vocals, to the fact that we had what I felt like an introduction that almost gave me this hint of symphonic metal, the organ, to then going full metal and dark metal, to then having moments where I felt like there was this touch of classic rock, this nod to the 80s, early 90s, knowing that these guys started in 99. It feels like there's this beautiful blend between the influences of where rock was birthed, not necessarily in the very beginnings of rock, or rock and roll per se, though there may be touches of that as well. But the classic rock, the way that the drummer sang, he was probably one of my favorite parts of this. And again, that's subjective because everyone's going to notice things. Lead vocalist, crazy, amazing. The rasp to his voice, the ability to scream, his just vocal performance in general, that vocal range. The guitarist going ham, that solo, just running up and down that neck. The bassist, we can't take away from those things, even though sometimes we have to hone in on really listening and paying attention to that, unless you're like a bass player or someone who's well versed in those things. We sometimes forget all the instruments and all the parts that go into making this an amazing thing. A bass player just hammering along in that thing and carrying everything. But what I was really impressed by here was the drummer going bananas with his time signatures and keeping in rhythm as he's singing. And it kept going back to that hook. And the way that he would shoot in those high notes, those were moments where I felt like he was doing such justice to those rock legends and bands of the 80s with such precision and clarity. That classic rock, what I'm going to describe as classic rock, nod and hint in connection with the dark and the heavy and the beast mode metal was really unique to me. I admit that's why I'm saying it makes me feel like they brought generations together with their music. They're bringing in the old and the lovers of the 70s, 80s, and they're bringing in something fresh from the 90s and 2000s and still relevant as ever. That's not even talking about the lyrics. When I saw the name Avenged Sevenfold, I like to often think about why does a band choose the name that they have. And while I can't speak for, because I'm new to this group, I can't speak for why they chose it, it makes me think of this idea of, well, for one, the numbers like 3 and 7 of those things are often found in religious settings and in sacred geometry and such. But when it comes to 7 and in the sense of forgiveness, we know of the verse that speaks about not only forgiving 7 times, but 7 times 7. And it's this idea of forgive over and over again. Maybe some would interpret that as forgive for every day of the week or whatnot. So when I saw Sevenfold, it made me think of the idea of forgiveness. 7 times 7, right? Over and over. But here it's called Avenged Sevenfold. So it makes me wonder if this is this play on the opposite of forgiveness, avenging something seven times versus forgiving it 7 times. Is there more? Probably. I don't know. The word critically acclaimed is also unique to me because this is, when something is referred to as critically acclaimed, it's usually this concept in my mind of this is acclaimed, acknowledged, and pronounced as, known as, declared as critical, as not critical in the sense of danger and emergency, but critical in the sense of the critics and the experts. They acclaim this. They say this is right. And I think there's an idea that comes with that for some of us, we may take something, we may psychologically, since y'all know we're a lot about that here too. I think when we hear that word, critically acclaimed, we may be prone to say, oh, it must be special. It must be endorsed beyond something ordinary. And depending on who endorsed it or who acclaimed it critically, we may or may not respect it more, esteem it of more value. That's the world we live in, right? When someone that you don't know, a neighbor down the street, tells you to buy a cream, you may be less likely to believe it and give your money and go buy that product than when a superstar or a celebrity tells you to buy a cream, right? When people endorse something, we look at it differently. When someone that you look up to, respect, says something, we look at it differently. We want to hear what people have to say. If you have a favorite YouTuber and they were to spend some one-on-one time with you and tell you what they think about you, that would hit you different than a person whose opinion you don't value. So when something is critically acclaimed, to me, it implies this idea of someone esteemed that as special. Somebody is out here acclaiming something. That's usually the idea that I have behind those words. And there's always, obviously, also a lot of philosophical aspects we can talk about when it comes to that, such as how do we esteem value? How do we give a person the authority to say their opinion matters? Why is his or her feedback, or do they have the authority to acclaim it? Why is his or her feedback about any given thing more important than your average citizen? So there's obviously plenty of questions we could ask philosophically, psychologically about why we have that tendency to want to acclaim. Why do we even need to acclaim anything? And so on and so forth. But let's look at the lyrics here. Quiet might piss somebody off. Like me, MRFer, you've been at it for too long. While you feed off others' insecurities, while you stand in front of me and bite the hand that feeds. Self-righteousness is wearing thin. Lies inside your head, your best friend. Interesting. Lies inside your head, your best friend. Are those lies the best friend? Heart bleeds, but not for fellow men. Broken glass, your fake reflection. Oh, snap. I've had enough. It's time for something real. I don't respect the words you're speaking. Gone too far, a clone. How does it feel to know that someone's kid in the heart of America has blood on their hands? Wow. Fighting to defend your rights so you can maintain a lifestyle that insults his family's existence. Okay, I'm taking this as a political declaration. And I had a thought while I was listening. I thought it's interesting how music and art allows us to rebel and bring awareness to things and use our platform, depending on how well known you are, to question, rebel, and stir other people up to think and critically think and question. The irony sometimes is that when it's done through art, how much does it actually evoke actual critical thinking and action to make change, and how much does it just lure us to sleep and now we're entertained? That's that dichotomy I find. I'm seeing here that what could be interpreted initially as some type of relational tension between two people, lies inside your head, your best friend, you MRFer, you've been at it for too long, right? You're feeding off of insecurities. While on a micro level, we could see that in relationship, when there's a toxic dynamic, when one person is abusing the other, I think this is more a reflection on a macro level of a system. Is this political? Possibly. Is this a look at economic differences and that imbalance where we have a select few, they, whoever they are, playing off of polarizing us, playing off of feeding off of our insecurities. For example, if you know that girls feel insecure about their appearance, you're going to make money off of pushing the product that sells them the lie that that's going to make them feel pretty or look good or be more wanted by men. If you got men out here feeling worthless or feeling less than because they're struggling to pay money or find a good spouse or have their family or feel a value and purpose at their career, you're gonna set up the system in a way that either keeps them stuck in that rut. Now they're chasing money. Now they're chasing fame, power, glory, power over women, power over their careers, or you're selling them some type of lie. And it's all ultimately playing off of insecurity. When you look at most products that are marketed well, it's because it's either meeting some type of need or it has created a perceived need. We actually don't need that shit, but we were told this lie by these companies that we need it. And that's what you're supposed to have. It's easily done with the young generation. You need the latest iPhone. You need this and that to be cool, to be in. And it might be deeper than just, oh, this is what you'll need to be cool. It'll be so reverse psychologically played that you'll think, oh, I need this for my business though, and I deserve this, right? It goes beyond just, hey, if you want to be cool, buy this. It ties way deeper into our identity and our existential fears to feel like, well, I'll be more successful and I'll be able to help more people, right? We might even buy the lie of it makes us morally more superior, or it gives our life more value, or I deserve this, right? That's even an easier ploy to make someone think they deserve this. Not only they need or want, but you deserve this. You're entitled to this. So many different angles psychologically you could play off of people's needs or creating a need and a want. And I think a lot of it boils down to those existential fears that we have of not wanting to be alone, wanting to be free, looking for meaning in life, and being afraid of death. And if someone can sell me a cream that keeps me younger for 10 more years because I don't want to deal with my death anxieties, I'm going to buy it. I'm not saying that I will, but I'm saying that's the idea and the angle. So I'm wondering if this is calling out politics, polarization, media, and this imbalance of power where there are people who are selling us lies in our heads or in their heads. They are feeding off of our insecurities, playing us against each other, self-righteous. I'm here to help. Even saying things like self-righteous and then saying things like you don't care about your fellow men. Heart bleeds, but not for fellow men. What is the heart bleeding of or for? That would be the question. Broken glass, your fake reflection. Really interesting. So there's a lot of duality here also, I feel. Insulting the family's existence. Someone's kid in the heart of America has blood on their hands. And that too makes me wonder, is this also addressing violence in school, violence that keeps happening where young kids are going around killing others and killing one another? Why? How can that happen, right? That's even now still, that was a topic even back then. It still is a topic. Asking ourselves, for one, how can they access these guns so easily? Why would someone need a gun like this? Questions like, what's going on in the mental health? Why are all these kids being bullied? What is going on with cyberbullying and this play off of insecurities and these lies in people's heads? Mental health that needs to be addressed, but people having a hard time accessing therapy and doctors and quality care. There's a lot of topics here that I feel like could be derived from this. But saying, how does it feel knowing that someone's kid has blood on their hands in the heart of America? And is that the blood of someone else because they committed a crime and they're actually lost and this should have never gone this far? Or is there blood on their hands because they are being harmed? I feel like ultimately, tabloid gossip queen, worthless man. There's no need for us to bury you. Selfish agenda once again. Maybe also thinking of, I don't know when they wrote this song. Oh yeah, released 2007. Social media peaking, Facebook peaking, maybe also this idea or starting to, maybe this idea of calling all that out. Maybe they were ahead of their time in regards to where they saw things were moving towards and how very relevant as ever, saying that all this tabloid, before it was all the social media and the YouTube and Instagram, it was Facebook and it was MySpace. And before that, you got all these magazines, right? That gossip, the tabloid, the meaninglessness, not care for the fellow man. All the way from east to west, we got this high society looking down on their very foundation. Interesting. Looking down on their very foundation. You know a system is broken when you got people looking down on the foundation, not realizing you wouldn't exist without that foundation. You wouldn't be here without the back of those on whose back you built your empire. Constantly reminding us that our actions are the cause of all their problems. Pointing the fingers in everywhere direction and blaming their own nation for who wins the elections. Wow. They've never contributed a effing thing to the country they love to criticize. Gosh, yeah, he's calling out the system, everybody and their mama. I feel like this is political, this is economical, this is social. Just looking at all of it, calling it off and calling it all out and then saying, might piss somebody off. I like that. Gone too far, a clone. Really calling out the system. I love the honesty here and the boldness. Like I said, the question that arises in my mind is how much is this going to make people think and incite change? How much are people going to be distracted by the high-level entertainment? I think ultimately everyone is going to perceive things differently and we get to decide what are we going to do with this. The fact that they're coming at it with such a high-level musical composition, but also calling out the system is encouraging to see when big bands and people with platforms take that and say, I'm gonna speak up. They're not gonna silence me. And that's courageous, especially when you're in the music industry and whatnot. So I like this. This was dope. Do you guys know Avenged Sevenfold? What do they mean to you? What other songs are good? Shout out to Lonnie. Go check them out. I'll see you on the next ride.